Life tests us every day. In relationships with people, in disagreements, in everyday encounters, we are constantly faced with a choice. To speak or to stay silent. Speaking is often easier. Reacting immediately feels natural to us. But sometimes, it is not words but silence that shows strength. Holding yourself back, remaining calm, saying nothing, that is not weakness. In fact, it is the clearest sign of inner strength. Because silence is not something everyone can master. To be silent is to control your emotions, your speech, your energy. You have probably experienced moments like this too. You wanted to say something, but for some reason stopped and stayed quiet. And then you realized that by staying silent, you didn't lose. You actually won. This video will show you 12 important moments in life when silence is the smartest and strongest choice. These are moments when many people lose to their emotions. But the Stoics, hundreds of years ago, showed us how powerful a decision to stay silent in these moments truly is. As you understand these 12 moments, you will see sometimes silence is more than just a response. Sometimes saying nothing is the most precise message. If you want to awaken this power within yourself, watch the video until the end. Also watch because you will learn a lot from it. Therefore, I recommend subscribing to the channel, liking the video and sharing it. Because the more people understand and apply the power of silence in everyday life, the more our relationships and friendships will benefit. If you are ready, let's begin. First, let's talk about the first of the 12 important moments when silence is necessary. This is when emotions surge. Yes, there are moments in life when we want to react with our whole body. Our heart tightens, our throat knots, words burn inside us. Someone wrongs us, someone yells at our face, or simply a phrase hits us hard. The anger, hurt, and disappointment inside us suddenly rush to our tongue. Sometimes the words we want to say are actually the explosion of long-suppressed emotions. But in these moments think, if I speak now, what will happen? Will I win or lose more? Often, the answers we give in emotional moments may bring immediate victories but can destroy long-term relationships or values. Because no matter how true the words are, if spoken at the wrong time, they produce the wrong outcomes. Remember, moments ruled by emotions are dangerous moments. You are no longer yourself. It's not wisdom speaking, but anger. It's not patience, but haste guiding you. It's not empathy, but revenge speaking. A single sentence said at such a time will wound not only the other person, but also you. Now calm down and think, is this person valuable to me? Is this relationship important to me? If your answer is yes, a few seconds of silence will protect a lifetime of relationship. Sometimes by staying silent, others may see you as weak. But don't forget, the strongest people are those who can control themselves in the toughest moments instead of reacting immediately. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, if someone can anger you, it means they still have control over you. But when you remain calm, you owe no one anything. Because anger passes, but words remain. Emotions come and go. But the wounds they leave in the heart are unforgettable for years. Yes, in moments like this, it feels like something inside you explodes. Your hands tremble, your heart tightens. Words you want to say are on the tip of your tongue. At that moment, take a deep breath. Step back a little, close your eyes and count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stay silent. Because when you stay silent, you act not from emotions but from your mind. This will bring you peace, and tomorrow, when you recall that event, you will feel calm inside. Listen carefully to my words. Your silence is not cowardice. Your silence is self-protection. That silence protects relationships, friendships, family, and most importantly, it protects you. Winning through silence is the quietest yet most magnificent victory. The second moment. Staying silent when you are treated unfairly. Sometimes someone blames you. They want to see you not as you really are, but at their own level. Those who cannot tolerate your calmness and quiet behavior often mistake it for weakness. They try to provoke you to get a reaction. And you, at that moment, you stay silent. You don't answer, you don't shout, you don't try to prove yourself. That is true strength. This behavior shows you not as weak, but on the contrary, as a strong and controlled person. In these situations, human nature wants to prove it is right. It's as if a voice inside says, if you don't respond, it's like you accept it. If you stay silent, people will think you're guilty. But Stoic philosophy thinks differently. Marcus Aurelius said, if you are right, there is no need to prove it. The truth will find its own way in silence. In fact, the more you explain yourself, the more you become a part of the other person's game. They trigger you, you respond, and you become their level. But when you don't respond, you maintain your own level. You stand outside the game. And that is true superiority. Sometimes staying silent in the face of injustice is the highest form of self-respect, because you understand that you don't have to enter every fight. Sometimes stepping away from the battle is a wise decision. Your silence causes that person's mask to fall off faster. Your lack of reaction shows others more than your shouting ever could, because time reveals everything, and silence often becomes the strongest proof. Not responding is preserving your energy. If you react to every injustice, one day you will run out. But if you protect your energy, your inner calm, you become stronger each time. Remember, level is everything. Every response can bring you down a step, but silence can always lift you higher. Therefore, staying silent in the face of injustice is sometimes the strongest answer. The more you remain silent, the more you become someone who understands the power of silence, not someone weak. Be sure that silent people are often heard more than those who shout. Your calmness, your worth, and your level must be above arguments. And the more you can stay calm, the higher you rise. The third moment when silence is necessary, when the person before you needs attention and understanding. We all go through difficult days, face hardships, and sometimes someone just wants to be by our side. The person sitting in front of you has a heavy heart. Maybe they want to talk, or maybe the words won't come out. Then your best response may be silence, because sometimes words aren't enough, no matter how well-intentioned your response is. Sometimes the only thing stronger than speaking is simply listening. Silence is the best way to understand the confusion on their face, the sadness in their eyes. To be silent is the most sincere way to say, I'm here, I'm listening, and I understand you. Through silence, you show respect for their feelings. You don't rush them or judge their thoughts immediately. This is a great sign of respect and attention. Remember that most of the time, people do not expect answers. They just want to be heard. The greatest support for them is silently listening without interruption. Your presence and quiet support can be worth 1,000 words. Silence also creates space for the other person to express themselves. They feel comfortable sharing their feelings and thoughts with you. And this sharing is one of the most delicate forms of healing. If you ever experience such a moment in life, know this: what the person needs more than words is someone quietly sitting beside them, holding their hand, simply looking into their eyes. Then you will better understand the value of your silence. Never underestimate the power of silence. It is sometimes the foundation of the greatest empathy and the deepest human connection. Touching someone's heart with silence can be stronger than any relationship built with 1,000 words. The fourth moment, when silence is necessary, when you are trying to protect yourself from emotional manipulation in relationships. We all frequently face emotional manipulation. Some people deliberately try to shake your emotions, annoy you, make you angry. They intend to use your reactions to appear strong and control you. This is their game, and by understanding it, you can choose not to be part of it. As Stoic philosophy teaches, our power depends not on what happens to us, but on how we respond. The other person does their best to trigger you, but by staying calm and responding with silence, you doom their power to fade. Silence is your greatest weapon. Staying calm, saying nothing, or refusing to engage in an argument is not pointless passivity. On the contrary, it shows you are protecting your inner peace and respecting your boundaries. Your silence sends the message, I'm listening to you, but you cannot control my emotions. It is also about maintaining healthy boundaries in relationships. Emotional manipulation is often subtle and carried out through secret ways that confuse your feelings and shake your self-confidence. In such cases, responding immediately with words can sometimes worsen the situation and increase the effect the manipulator wants. Silence calms the situation, allowing you not to waste your energy and attention in vain. Silence also buys you time to think, gather your feelings, look at the situation objectively, and make wise decisions. It prevents impulsive reactions and strengthens your emotional intelligence. Remember that setting healthy boundaries in relationships is vital. The more you respect your inner world, the harder it becomes for others to influence or manipulate you. It also sends a clear message to the other person that you control your emotions, and that trying to control you is pointless. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, but in reality, it is great strength and discipline. Anyone can get angry, but a wise person maintains their calm. Silence helps reduce conflicts, calm situations, and keep relationships healthy. Sometimes people interpret silence as coldness, indifference, or passivity. But silence is a deeper, multi-layered strength. It expresses respect, empathy, and inner power. Through silence, you show both calmness and resilience. On this path, anyone who wants to protect themselves from emotional manipulation is advised to take a step back, breathe deeply, and respond with silence. Because silence is the smartest and strongest response. Ultimately, silence allows you to protect your value, respect yourself and others. By staying calm and creating balance in relationships, you strengthen both your inner world and the external environment. This is one of the greatest victories you can achieve in life. When you want to show off your victory, silence is the true triumph. This is the fifth moment when silence is necessary. When you achieve a great success in life, waves of joy rise in your heart. You want to show it to others, to gain respect and admiration. This is a natural feeling. But remember that true strength shows itself not through noise, but through calmness. The greatest winners in the world do not raise their voices. They refrain from flaunting their victories. They know words are fleeting, but results are lasting. Continuing in silence, focusing on your work, and progressing step by step on your path of growth is the foundation of true victory. There is a deep power hidden in your silence. This silence strengthens you internally and sends a message to others. I am on my path. Believe in actions, not words. People respect your quiet achievements even more. When you want to display your victory, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what is your greatest victory? To gain others' admiration or to live in peace with yourself? The answer is simple. Continue with silence and confidence. Silence also protects you from others' negative opinions and selfish criticisms. Sometimes people envy your success and want to drown it in noise. But by maintaining your silence, you turn their energy against them as your strength. Staying silent on this path makes you even stronger. You speak not with words, but with your actions and results. The more your steps are accompanied by silence, the more people value and respect you. Remember, true victory is not how others see you, but how you feel about yourself. Your ability to stay silent, your inner strength, and your determination are your greatest victories in life. Words of victory are quickly forgotten, but silently won victories last a lifetime. Keep going in silence, advance on your path, and know that your greatest success is inner peace and self-confidence. If there is nothing to say, saying nothing is the most honest answer. This is the sixth moment when silence is necessary. Every day, we are surrounded by countless conversations, questions and discussions. People expect opinions, reactions, and answers from us. And often we think that staying silent, giving no answer, might make us seem weak. But actually, we are not obligated to respond to every question, to intervene in every conversation, or to speak in every situation. On the contrary, silence is sometimes the strongest and most honest form of behavior. According to Stoic philosophy, speaking is meaningful only in three cases: if your words are true, useful, and necessary. If even one of these is missing, stay silent, because silence protects you from hasty, meaningless, or harmful words. This protection is a form of respect, both for yourself and for others. Sometimes people pressure you to talk. They ask questions, provoke you, seek a reaction. But remember, you are never obliged to answer. Even in the hardest, most emotional moments, Choosing not to speak, not to get angry, not to express yourself is a sign of the order within you and your self-control. Because sometimes silence calms the situation, sometimes silence protects relationships, and very often silence is a quiet expression of staying true to your inner values. Silence is also a deep skill of observation. The more you stay silent, the more you see and understand. What speaking gives you, silence often gives even more, because you exist now not to react, but to think. And sometimes, the words you don't say are more impactful than everything you say. The other person understands that this silence is not accidental. It is a chosen stance. It is a behavior based on values. A person with inner peace does not try to answer everything. They know that not every dialogue requires participation and not every opinion needs a response. True strength lies in self-restraint and knowing how to stay silent. Remember, when there is nothing worth saying, not saying anything, silence is honesty towards yourself and others. Silence holds no lies, no masks, no duplicity. It holds only purity, sincerity, and depth. And one of the most honest answers in this world is, I do not want to talk about this. Silence is sometimes stronger than a no, and sometimes stronger than a yes. Staying silent when others misunderstand you is the seventh moment when silence is necessary. Everyone has experienced at least once in life a situation like this. You do something with pure intentions, but people understand it completely differently. They distort your words, misinterpret your actions, and even judge you not as you are, but as they perceive you. At that moment, you feel the urge to explain everything, to prove yourself, to justify your actions. But remember, every time you seek someone else's approval, you lose a piece of your freedom. The Stoic said, what is right does not need proof. If your intention is pure, if you truly know yourself, how others understand you should not disturb your inner world. Every time you stay silent, you are not giving up a fight. You are freeing yourself from a burden. Not explaining yourself to those who misunderstand you is not weakness. It is a sign of inner stability and strength, because silence is often the strongest defense. As long as you do not speak, what is said about you remains only the other person's opinion. How they see you does not define who you really are. Sometimes people build a cage out of their opinions about you. They want to trap you there. But as long as you do not enter that cage, meaning you do not try to prove or explain yourself, you are free. Silence here is not merely quietness. It is a choice of freedom. If you defended yourself in front of everyone who misunderstood you, it would drain your energy. Every attempt to explain is a burden. Spending much of your life responding to others' opinions is neither fair nor purposeful. Silence is also confidence, because you know your worth. You do not need to convince those who do not understand you. You walk your path with confident steps and need not prove. You are right, you need to live. This is not easy, especially when unfairly blamed. You want to scream, I didn't mean it like that. You're misunderstanding me. But in that moment, pause for a second. Think. Your calmness is protecting yourself within a chaos that is not yours. People cannot always understand you. Some will not want to understand you. Others will not be patient enough to understand you. But if you measure your worth by the opinions of those who cannot understand you, you lose yourself. Silence here is not passivity. It is an active choice of a self-aware person. Being free from the obligation to respond to everyone's opinion is great inner freedom. The conclusion is simple. If you know yourself, there is no need to explain yourself to those who misunderstand you. Your silence is your confidence. Your calmness holds freedom, and that freedom is your most precious value. The eighth moment. When silence is necessary, not reacting to harsh words. And this silence always keeps you above. Sometimes the person in front of you is looking for your weak spot. Their goal is to trigger you, to make you a tool for their emotions. They speak aggressively, criticize, and sometimes insult you unjustly. Inside you, a fire burns. You want to respond, defend yourself, demand your right. But in that moment, take a breath and remember, the difference in level is measured by silence. If you react, you have entered the game. If you can remain calm, the game no longer affects you. This is not just emotional strength, it is a sign of inner mastery. Not reacting does not mean you agree. No, it means you simply do not want to stoop to their level. This is the highest form of self-respect. Stoic philosophy says, your inner stability is not your response to external conditions, but your own choice. When you react, the other person gains energy from you. Your anger, your words empower them. But when you stay silent, you keep your energy inside. This does not drain you. On the contrary, it strengthens you. Imagine someone yells at you, but you look at them calmly. In that moment, you send a message. Your anger cannot touch me. This is not just a behavior, it is a philosophy of living. Because not every confrontation in life is worth responding to. Some people want to pull you in just to steal your time, attention, and energy. But when you stay calm, you break that chain. You act based on principle, not reaction. Being strong is not about speaking loudly. Being strong is about being able to remain silent in the hardest moments. Your calmness is your depth, and this depth sets you apart. If there are those who want to bring you down with noise, rise with your silence. Because being silent does not always mute the voice. Sometimes silence is hearing your inner voice even stronger. When you don't respond, you respect yourself. When you don't respond, you preserve your inner stability. When you don't respond, you are no longer on their level. This silence is not fear. This silence is a choice that elevates you and frees you. Not every person deserves to be talked to or engaged in discussion. Not every opinion merits expression. And not every relationship deserves to be built. In life, there are people whose purpose is neither dialogue nor understanding. Their aim is to manipulate, to strike at your weak spot, to provoke emotional reactions, and ultimately to control you. Every sentence with such people can turn into a trap. This is the seventh moment when silence is necessary. When you encounter such people, remember, your response is their food. Your silence is your armor. They feed on attention and reaction. The more you try to defend yourself, explain or prove that you are right, the more you fall into their game, and you lose not with your own energy, but with theirs. Sometimes these people don't ask questions, they attack. They don't criticize, they try to awaken your insecurities. Your response is like soil for their seeds. The more you speak, the more you help them grow. But when you stay silent, those seeds remain in drought and do not sprout. Their game dies right there. The Stoics teach us that a wise person does not engage in every battle. Sometimes refusing to fight is not losing, but winning. It is understanding which battles are worthy. The most dangerous confrontations in life are the invisible ones. Even if you remain calm, there can be a storm inside you. But if you can contain that storm within yourself, it is no longer about defending against an external threat, but about managing your inner strength. Silence is not merely the absence of speech, it is a choice. Sometimes saying nothing is the most delicate yet firm way of saying, I am not part of this game. Your silence is the rejection they feel. Your lack of response means they cannot reach you. The urge to react in such relationships can be very strong, because when faced with insult, injustice, or accusation, an inner voice says, respond, defend yourself. But this is a trap. When you remain calm exactly where they want to see you explode, you have already won. Sometimes silence is a way to remember your own worth. It is saying, I am not at this level. It is about choosing whom you give your energy, time, and spirit to. It is not failing to defend yourself, it is protecting yourself. Those who truly love, understand, and value you do not require explanations. The more you try to explain yourself, the more you accept that the other person does not understand you. So why waste your energy? When you are silent towards a valuable person, it is the depth of your understanding. When you are silent towards a worthless person, it is a sign of choosing yourself. And even though it is always silent, inside it is a big decision. I am no longer at this level. Remember, silence is the weapon not of the weak, but of those who protect their mind and know their worth. Talking is easy, but silence, knowing when and to whom to be silent, is the mark of wisdom. The 10th moment. when silence is necessary before making a decision. Life's hardest moments are often the loudest. Thoughts race in your mind, emotions collide, external pressures come at you, everything pushes you to make a rushed decision. It feels as if life is shouting, "Decide quickly." But the Stoics said, true decisions are born not in shouting but in silence. Therefore, before making a decision, silence is necessary. Silence is not just calmness, it is quieting the noise inside you. Everyone's opinions, expectations, pressures, fears and desires begin to speak all at once. Even if you do not speak, it feels as though everything is talking. At this moment, silence is a filter that cleanses your mind. Rushed decisions are often made based on sudden emotions, fear, anger, excitement, or passion. But emotions come and go. Their messages may not be true. If you base your decision on them, you may not recognize your choice tomorrow. That is why the Stoics teach, before deciding, let emotions pass. Let the mind calm down. Let silence come. Silence is the stage setting of the mind. Emotions fade, judgment arrives, reactions stop, analysis begins. And then you see, does this decision align with my values? Is this truly my choice, or a step taken under pressure, fear, or others' voices? In silence there is time. Time brings clarity, because sometimes a few hours or days of silence can save you from years of regret. A rushed decision can become a lifelong burden, but patient silence helps you choose a steady and firm path. For the Stoics, silence was not passivity. On the contrary, it was a form of inner activity. They said, speaking scatters your thoughts, silence gathers them. Meaning, when you speak, you scatter, but when you are silent, you focus on one point. As you remain silent, the chaos inside you calms, and a simple, clear thought emerges. Sometimes saying nothing, taking no action, is the only necessary move. Think, how have you made your most important decisions? In noise or in deep calm? How have you found the right way? By someone's urging or by your inner voice? That inner voice is the truth born from silence. Everyone in this world wants to speak. Everyone expects a reaction, an answer, an action. But silence owes none of these. Your silence before deciding is not weakness. It is respect for your life, your time and your mind. Remember, often within silence lies a hidden yes or no. You just need not rush to hear it. The 11th moment, when silence is necessary to know and understand yourself. We all know that the speed of life, the noise of the modern world, and an environment demanding constant attention, distance a person from their inner self. Every day we drown in countless sounds, thoughts, and obligations. Amid this noise, a person can lose themselves so much that they cannot hear their own voice. But as the Stoics taught, silence is the most reliable door that opens the way to oneself. Silence is not merely quietness, it is a journey into your inner world. In those moments, you listen not to others' words but to your own inner voice, the voice that sincerely introduces you to yourself and connects you to your deepest truth. The Stoics made it a part of their daily life to ask themselves, who am I? What is my purpose? How should I act in this situation? The answers to these questions lie hidden in silence. They knew that searching within and being alone with oneself is the beginning of wisdom. In silence, a person sees the true nature of their thoughts and feelings. In silence, we free ourselves from confusion and can be honest with ourselves. This may sometimes be painful or frightening, but it is our purest and most authentic state. Knowing yourself is the greatest treasure in life. The better you know yourself, the stronger, more purposeful, and sincere your decisions and choices become. Silence is the first and most important step in this acquaintance. In inner silence, you confront your weaknesses, strengths, fears, and desires, and this encounter changes you, granting you true freedom. Self-knowledge gives you inner strength and an unshakable stance in life. Sometimes this silence is so deep that you no longer hear the voices of others. Their opinions, criticisms, and expectations do not bother you, because you are filled with your own voice. That voice guides you. Remember, the truths about yourself found in silence are the most precious sources of light on your life's path. With this light, you take the right steps in a complex world. For the Stoics, silence was not just about not speaking. It was about listening to and paying attention to the inner world. In this quietness, you simplify the complexity of life and clarify your path. Being alone with yourself can sometimes seem frightening, but by working through that fear, you gain true wisdom. Knowing yourself is being your strongest friend. Silence is the most valuable gift that gives you refuge, clarity and strength within yourself. Being silent with yourself is life's greatest victory. The 12th moment when silence is necessary, sometimes just saying nothing to anyone. This is also the strongest message you can send to the person opposite you. You remain silent, and the other person understands, even without a single word, because silence is a message everyone knows the language of, but very few truly understand. For the Stoics, silence was the deepest form of expression. Silence itself is a speech, a story, a symbol of power. It expresses feelings, thoughts, and even fears that words cannot convey. People are sometimes more affected by silence than by words. Silence can be the greatest response of someone who is angry, hurt, or disappointed. When you remain silent, you protect your inner world and give the other person time to think, understand, and change. This is a sign of patience and wisdom, because sometimes, no matter how sincere words are, silence has a deeper and longer-lasting impact. For the Stoics, silence was also a symbol of inner strength and stability. They knew that anyone can speak amid noise, but true strength is maintaining oneself in silence. With silence, you show how strong you are. Protect your respect, your worth, and your boundaries. This final silence is not just a behavior, but a stance. It is the purest expression of respect for yourself and others. Sometimes, more than speaking, silence is needed so that life becomes clearer and relationships become healthier. Thus, these 12 moments show how powerful and significant silence is in our lives. Every moment, every situation gives silence a different meaning and value. Silence often speaks more than words, expresses more, and touches more deeply. For this reason, learning to embrace and appreciate silence is one of the most important steps on the path to wisdom in life. It is important to understand that silence is not just about not speaking. It is about knowing yourself, protecting yourself, and connecting more deeply with life. Stoic philosophy shows us that sometimes silence speaks louder than all the cries combined. Thank you for watching up to this point. If you also value the secrets of silence, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Together, we can strengthen this silent power even more. With one click, we can make a big difference. See you in the next video.